After our pause, we're back with our program Straight Talk. And this time, we'll be joined by another guest. He's the Executive Director and Trustee of the British Chamber of Commerce in the Philippines. Mr. Chris Nelson, he has been here last month. So,
Maybe last month, yeah. About last month.
he's a balikbayan.
It's nice to be back with friends.
Okay.
After was it 3 or 4 years? Yeah, hiatus. What makes
Well, actually, so it's actually a little bit. So it's actually the last time we had the Great British Festival
The
was
Great
2018, we
British
think.
2018, that's okay.
So if you
So
look at it,
20,
it could be
yeah.
up to 5 years. Although I think we might have had a very much smaller version as the 2019. But look, it's suffice to say it's been a long time, and obviously we're great to come back and revive it.
Yeah, so what makes this year's Great British Festival different from the previous years?
Well, okay, so first of all, it's a return, so I think that's the major difference. In terms of the activities, we very much focus on having it with British companies. So we have 36 companies
36, yeah.
present, 36 companies and organisations, and we're going to have a programme on entertainment, obviously linked to British culture, music, and that's being done by the British Council.
Live?
Yeah, live. So it's all next weekend, 25th and 26th of March, starting at 10 o'clock on Saturday the 25th and concluding at 10 p.m. on the 26th.
Sunday. When are we going to bring over Coldplay?
Well, okay. I mean, the budget of the British Embassy has been very supportive,
allow.
but I think
Ellie
Coldplay
Goulding.
just doesn't quite
way.
get there, unfortunately. So what we've done actually, it's a good question. What we've done actually is to obviously go for, or the British Council has, obviously Philippine bands who will cover famous music from the UK.
Bloomfield.
Oh, that's
So we'll have
Bloomfield.
Beatles, we'll have, of course, I think
Bloomfield.
hopefully the Spice Girls, I understand.
Spice Girls.
Maybe, I don't know about Coldplay or Blur or all the others. Or,
Yeah.
hopefully, I don't sure if anyone can do Adele, obviously all the ones we had recently. But, you know, we have a rich culture of music from the UK, and of course, also, of course, from the theatre side, of course, there will be a Shakespearean short
Very interesting.
segment.
Shakespeare.
But
should
done by Shakespearean plays performed by by Filipino
Filipinos?
or
Yes, I think also Ballet
or
Philippine is going to be involved. We've also got the British School of Manila. So yes, I mean it's an idea. I mean, look, what's hoping for is that during during a weekend in BGC, you have obviously estimated 200,000 visitors. That's on a regular weekend. So the idea is that a number of the companies will have interactive booths. So to give it a few examples,
Jaguar.
well, we got the cars will be there on display. Then we have other companies, so some that I can think of immediately. So we'll have CyberQ, which is one of our newer members. They're into cybersecurity, so there'll be a quiz to how can you check on those things, and then you can enter into a competition. We have Rent-A-Kill, which is a famous company, and they're going to have a, when you tap, you have to they'll have a game. I think it's Hit the Rat, those things that comes up. And then you have lots of others. So you have about 18 or 50% of the companies will do it. And then we have other displays. We'll have Shell, we'll have Pre-Life, we've got HSBC. And then we have a whole series of food on display.
Oh, that's what I'm interested about.
Well,
Okay.
That's
when
a
you-
Friday.
It's a Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and
Sunday.
Sunday. Okay.
it's this Saturday, this Sunday,
This Saturday and Sunday,
25th, 26th.
Yeah. Well, for British cuisine, what would you be? A lot of Filipinos love to eat.
Well, this
I
is
go
true,
to London
I know.
to eat.
Well,
But
so
London is such a cosmopolitan country. Of
yeah,
course,
I
you
mean,
have
to be
also
fair, so London is the most cosmopolitan. It has a whole wide range. But what we managed to achieve here in terms of cuisine, so
meats,
yes, so
cheeses.
yeah, so what we'll have is we have a number of companies. We have One World Butchers, which is one of our members. and they are importing, and they'll obviously be focusing on things like British pork. British pork has done extremely well here in recent times. We discussed that.
Yeah,
So they'll be both sampling and selling that. We have Union Jack Tavern, who's been one of our long existing members. They tend to focus obviously on British food, and I'm sure fish and chips will feature because that's one of our staples.
Big fan.
We then also have a company called Berg, which is a pizza company, which apparently has English pizzas, so they'll be extensive. So we're very pleased. I mean, I think we'll have a lot, and also, of course, we'll have from the beverage sector, Diageo. So Diageo, of course, is famous for Johnny Walker whiskey, and amongst others. So they'll be there.
I understand it fell through, no? There was a reason. Are you familiar with what I'm saying?
Oh, is that the one with the?
No, don't pop around.
Okay, is that not going ahead?
I heard it just not, it fell through something.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, they'll be there, obviously focusing on their British brands, and we'll also have Imperiador because obviously they have also British brands, White and Mackay and Dalmore whiskey. So what we're creating here is a great opportunity for reinforcing the presence of British companies and trade. And on the culture side, we have the council who are leading that to reinforce, which people are aware of, but obviously reminds you of what is very extensive. And this is obviously brought back by the initiative of the embassy. And all credit to the ambassador, Lord Beaufils, and actually in particular the deputy ambassador, which is Alistair White, because he was the initiator to bring it back.
In a good relaxing weekend.
So this is what, give us just a quick history of the Great British Festival.
Yeah, sure. So it started
when?
in 2014.
2014.
It was kind of an initiative of the then ambassador, excuse me, whose name was Asif Ahmed. And it coincided with an overall campaign that had started in the UK, which was the Great Campaign, right? Obviously focusing on the great in Great Britain, and to try and reinforce Great Britain, or great as a brand and an association across the world. And we started off here in the Philippines, and when he was very active on it. And it grew tremendously. It was always located in BGC, Bonifacio Global City.
2014 was
The embassy, of course, as you're aware, is in McKinley, which is part of Taguig. And then it was linked, it got much more extensive. It got to the point where they were having fashion shows, they were linking up with retail stores. So it was a lot bigger. Then we went into, there was a change, and they decided to do a smaller approach. And then, of course, recently, of course, the pandemic you've had for over 3 years, which is not. So it's a good time to revive it. And I would say it's a good time for a number of reasons. The first, of course, is that you can see we discussed this last time I came, the Philippine economy has certainly recovered. We can tell that by the traffic, right? The ultimate barometer. That is the only downside.
an indication.
But it is a good sign that things are back. And look, I live in BGC. I live there. And
So McKinley is another parking lot again?
I mean, BGC, yeah, McKinley Road, but BGC on weekends now is very busy.
Yes.
And so you're going to get a lot of throughput. And it's good timing because this is the 77th year of our relationship with the Philippines. 7 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So the UK and the Philippines has a long-standing relationship.
77.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, my hometown is Iloilo, and we have a famous there, the waterfront.
Correct.
Muliloni.
Well,
Muliloni.
talking about Iloilo, so some years ago, I think that was probably 2019 or something like that. So I went down, they inaugurated a historical building. I forget the name of the mayor, I apologise if it was at that time.
How long, when was that?
Oh, it was about 4 years ago. It was before
4
the
years
current
ago?
before the current mayor. No, it was before the mayor
Chanyas?
before him. This is
Mabilog.
Yes.
Mabilog.
I think it's no. After Mabilog was it? I think he's the brother-in-law of the mayor.
Jerry Cañas.
No, he's a brother. His sister
I'm not
is
sure.
the mayor's. Anyhow, I went there because there
Yes.
used to be a British consul in Iloilo back in the 19th century. The reason why they had a consul in Iloilo was because of the sugar trade.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So sugar
You
trade
were
was
very
important.
instrumental. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They played a big
So,
role.
you know, if you look at our banking sector here, I mean,
HSBC.
well, we got HSBC,
Standard
Standard Chartered has been.
Standard Charter. Yeah.
I hope I'm going to get this right. I think Standard Chartered has been in the country 150 years.
Yes.
Longer than you.
And there was a Filipina
Netherlands.
was regional. I think
Yeah.
it was,
And then HSBC, I think, has been 125. So it's actually, I think Standard Chartered is actually slightly longer. So, you know, the connections were there. So this just reinforces things.
and Standard Charter is very popular because it's the home of one of my favorite restaurants in the world, Mott 32.
Ah, well,
in
great.
Hong Kong. It's there in the basement.
Basement of the headquarters in London.
Yeah, no,
In Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I see.
So I hope the two of you will be able to get across to BGC.
Yo,
Assuming the
definitely.
parking is okay.
I'll be there. I'll be there Sunday.
This is day off, but not me.
Ah, okay.
I'll be working
Oh,
through
okay.
the weekend.
Well, it
Anyway.
ends at 10 o'clock, you know.
Yeah, if it ends at 10 o'clock.
It's
yeah.
10.
You
It's
can
10
have,
to
you
10.
can have, you can go to a simulated pub there, and we'll have a few drinks and
Simulated
few-
pubs.
There'll definitely be some drinks.
Will you be setting up Diageo
Well,
going to
Diageo is
visit
going to
my-
be there. They're very
pub
clear.
there?
Well, I think they're going to be on only on the first day because that's the day of the key sort of entertainment. But they'll be there, and Imperial will be there, and of course, as I said, the Union Jack will be there. I think.
Union Jack is a pub.
Yeah. So one of our members.
Is it? Did they have a pub here in Manila?
Yeah, so David Charlton, he's been one of our members. So David Saloon, the hairdressing
Oh, yeah, David Saloon, yeah.
entrepreneur, and he's also had this. He used to have two pubs. One was in Alabang, and one is here in Makati. He still has operating one in Makati, and they're kind of going to take part. So Union Jack, and obviously, it's clear it's a British themed bar pub. So they'll be taking part. And what we're hoping to do as well is that, I mean, we know that there's actually a lot of British companies and brands here, but we hope to bring more. And I think I'd like to say here and now that, the initiative of the embassy to do this event is very good. It's been relatively short. We started discussing it just before Christmas, around November, December, and obviously here we are bringing on the event next month. So it's about a 4-month
sure.
period. In previous years, we probably take nearly most of a year to plan it. So, is there any wood here? Yes, it is. There you go. Touch wood. Touch wood, as they say. Hopefully, it'll all be okay. Fingers
I think
crossed.
so. Yeah.
But the next time, and if obviously things are successful, already thinking ahead, it'll be a good opportunity to bring in new brands, new so forth, which are not yet in the marketplace. That's a little bit more difficult, right, in the time frame. So we've really gone and discussed, obviously, with the companies that are here, who have a presence, and that is a leverage. And we have to be very fair. All the companies, so we had 36. We got a good response. It's going to be in the C1 and the amphitheatre area of BGC.
Where is that? Is that what street?
So if you take Fifth
High
Avenue,
Street? Is that
Fifth
1
Avenue,
Fifth Avenue.
which is one of the main avenues,
Yes.
you'll see as you drive along Fifth Avenue, you'll see there's a thing called, I think it's called the Central Mall,
Okay.
and that's, so the start is there, and then it moves up to the amphitheatre. So I think that's between 5th and 7th.
Usually during during the weekends they close an area.
That-
I
that-
was just there last week.
Yeah, they close that area. So what we'll have then is we start in that particular area because that's like a main crossing street. So we'll have all of C1. That's where the companies will be together. We've grouped them by sectors. So we have a financial sector. We'll have a retail sector. We have Marks and Spencers. I think we have Lush. We have a few others. Then we'll have a general business area. And so on, and then we'll obviously have a food and beverage sector. The cars, we have, I believe we have 2 cars. One is obviously from Jaguar Land Rover. The other one I think is a Lotus or a Lotus car. I'm hoping we're going to have a simulator as well. So, we're starting off at 10 o'clock. It'll be an opening remarks by the ambassador, Lord Beaufils.
What time is this?
10 o'clock
10
on
o'clock
Saturday.
Saturday.
And then I will also say a few remarks. Then we'll have a walk through to the companies with the media. And then it all starts. And then the entertainment begins at 4 o'clock on,
Okay, so you
on the
have
Saturday.
bands and all that.
That'll start on the Saturday. And look, as we know, we're already into the Philippine summer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's getting hot out there. We appreciate that. So, but hopefully you have the band and the music.
With
will
cool
start.
Cool things.
Start about 4, mainly at 5 o'clock, and then obviously it'll end at about 9:30 because it closes at 10 o'clock every night, and then the same again. It starts at 10 o'clock. The second day is much more on the family. It's much more culture, sports demonstrations, and then it will go.
Shakespeare.
And then it will go into again concluding, and there'll be a concluding ceremony at I think 9 o'clock on the Sunday evening, 9:30. So it's a 2-day event. We've gathered a lot of awareness, and it reinforces some of the points we discussed last time, which was, of course, is that trade and investment between the two countries has now reached an all-time high. It's £2 billion. And
Mostly in energy. I suppose.
well, yes, you're correct, in different sectors, and there's a lot of interest in the energy sector, particularly on renewables. And I think, recent developments, as mentioned, the IRR of the Public Service Act has just been published. So, well done and congratulations to NEDA. Okay, you got that out. We have RCEP, of course, has been ratified. We talked about that
yeah,
last
we
time.
talked
About
Another
that
one.
last time we were here.
And, I think there's great opportunities. The Philippines continues to open up. We see that in legislation, and we're hopeful it's going to continue. And this is a good way of showcasing it.
Okay, now that they have issued or they have released the IRR on the Modified Public Service Act, what do you think British companies would be interested in? To find out which companies would be, or which sectors would be open.
Well, I think, British companies and the embassy is also going to lead on that, is we'll be clearly interested in your infrastructure projects, and now the fact they can own into utilities and other areas. And I do think, as you mentioned, energy is a key one. Clearly, the Philippines is making a move to go into, or already has made a move to go into renewables. There's going to be a further emphasis on that. And I think you're going to see that because obviously the government, not just in the Philippines, but across, is pushing obviously renewable and cleaner energy. And the UK obviously has expertise in that. And we have expertise in engineering and so forth. So you have a lot of infrastructure projects. And I think that would be a great help.
So infrastructure would also be there. And what business sectors will be showcased during the Great British Festival?
Well, we're going to have the sectors we're going to use, and as I said, we group them together. So we have financials. So in the financials, obviously we've got HSBC, we've got Crew Live, we've put in also cybersecurity because cybersecurity.
That's an important sector.
Well, because cybersecurity is critical now. It not just cuts across financials; it cuts across all businesses. CyberQ is one of our more recent members. They're a UK-based company, but they have an
CyberQ.
yeah, but they
CyberQ, yeah.
but they have an affiliate here in the Philippines, an expertise. So they're going to focus obviously on the key threats of cybersecurity. We'll then have a retail sector, which highlights obviously those key British brands, Marks and Spencer's, Lush. Then we're going to have a general business area, and of course the food and beverage, which I imagine might be one of the more introduced. And what we've tried to encourage companies to do, of course, is to have their booths or displays as interactive as possible, because
I know what you mean.
you know, we're going to try and get people to do some games, to be part of that activity, because you know, it's what we're going to get is obviously the BGC in itself creates a lot of people. I mean, I know that from living there.
Every weekend.
Yeah, people go there, they walk around, they run many activities ongoing. So this is another one, and it will draw people in. And I should say, by the way, as we're discussing it, thank you to the Fort Bonifacio Development Corporation. There's the one we've been working with. They've been extremely helpful. And yes, I mean, I think it'll be a significant boost to our trade.
This is going to be open air. This will be open air.
Yeah, open air. I mean, there'll be, yes, it's open air. It's going to be relatively, I mean, obviously we know it's the summer, but there will be some shade, but it's open air.
Okay. So before we ask you more questions, I guess we have to take a break, short break.
Okay.
See you again.
Nasa kamay mo ang swerte, ngunit hindi ito isang laro na para lang sa'yo. Dahil bukod sa pag-asang maging milyonaryo, ang pagtangkilik mo sa loto at iba pang produkto ng PCSO ay nakakalikom ng pondo para sa mga programang pangkalusugan, tulong at serbisyong medikal at kawang-gawa.
Lahat ng minimiti makakamtan sa PCSO.
Iba ng panahon, ang dami ng bago ngayon. Pati ang mundo natin, well, nagbago na rin. Buti ano bayan, bigger, better na. You can buy it sa centers, pati sa mga partners, may online pa at app. You can buy it with your fingers, still don't remittance and more. Online shopping, you can buy it all. Di magpadala, you can buy it all. Anumang pera transaction, you can buy it all.
Sabayan ang pagbabago ng mundo for all your pera transactions, all new Bayan.
Nasa kamay mo ang swerte, ngunit hindi ito isang laro na para lang sa'yo. Dahil bukod sa pag-asang maging milyonaryo, ang pagtangkilik mo sa loto at iba pang produkto ng PCSO ay nakakalikom ng pondo para sa mga programang pangkalusugan, tulong at serbisyong medikal at kawang-gawa.
Lahat ng minimiti makakamtan sa PCSO.
Iba ng panahon, ang dami ng bago ngayon. Pati ang mundo natin, well, nagbago na rin. Buti ano bayan, bigger, better na. You can buy it sa centers, pati sa mga partners, may online pa at app. You can buy it with your fingers, still don't remittance and more. Online shopping, you can buy it all. Di magpadala, you can buy it all. Anumang pera transaction, you can buy it all.
Sabayan ang pagbabago ng mundo for all your pera transactions, all new Bayan.
Every time I'm on the road, I can expect high performance from Phoenix Fuels. Now with Pulse technology, delivers enhanced power and acceleration to make every trip come alive.
you still watching Straight Talk, still here with Mr. Chris Nelson. And given that this year is the 77th diplomatic, we have the 77th year
Yeah,
that
correct.
the UK and the Philippines has diplomatic relations. And how will the Great British Festival strengthen that relations between both countries? I mean, well,
Yeah. Isn't it quite late that the diplomatic relations happened? It's kind of that would be around before the Second World War, right?
Yeah, correct. I mean, I think you've saved 77
I
years.
said,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if we're now, you'll be talking pre-Second World War.
Pre-Second
I
World
mean, it's
War.
probably if my
Commonwealth period.
no, it'd be 1946, just after.
Just after.
Because obviously it's now 2023. If it's the 77th year, 1946. So
Mr.
just
Nelson sorry, I'm sorry.
no, go on. What's the question?
Well, you're saying that you visited Iloilo and you saw vestiges of
Yeah, we did. So I think
British-
the way to look at it, of course, I
British
mean,
presence there.
exactly. So the British have been in the Philippines before. Obviously, you know, we don't have the same historical connections that you have with Spain and obviously with the United States. I mean, for understandable, I mean, if you look at the UK, of course, or Great Britain, we're in other countries in Asia, Malaysia, Singapore. Obviously, if you go further the other way, India and so forth, Hong Kong, and Great Britain, Singapore. So, but the presence of the UK has been here quite extensively, and I would say that the ties between the two countries are very good, and that's fostered by the fact that there is a high number of Filipinos who live and work in the UK. I mean, they're actually British citizens now, I'm sure, but that's created obviously a lot of trade, travel, and association. And let's not forget, I mean, our President Marcos Jr. went to Oxford, so he's familiar with the UK, and obviously clearly likes the UK. So I think the relations have been reinforced, and if you say, what will this festival do? I think it just reinforces that. And what we're trying to achieve here, as is the embassy, and as the council and everybody else, is to really reinforce and grow those connections. Obviously, from our perspective, the chamber, we're really focusing on trade and investment. The embassy, of course, covers everything in their scope. And of course, the council is focusing on bringing out British culture and education. So, how will it do? Look, I think it's going to definitely further reinforce the British presence, which obviously we've been doing, or myself personally, over the last almost 9 years of running the chamber. And I think that we just want to keep on moving it to higher and higher levels.
You look tireless in promoting.
I was back. I thought you were
Been
about to say I'm
watching
looking
you.
tired, but yes, I do feel. I mean,
How exactly would you promote Philippine business to British companies?
well,
What would be the some features that you think would be most attractive to British investors?
okay, I think
potential
there's a
investors.
number of features. I think it depends. If you're looking for companies, and we did a lot of work in the food and beverage sector. I mean, first of all, it's a population of 110 million people. It's a young population, which if you look at demographics across the world is actually a very interesting and a very vital point when you've got aging populations in a number of developed countries. You have a very well-educated population. English is widely spoken and used and understood, which means it's very receptive to English products, and obviously from the UK. So from an opening market, a consumer market, that's very good. Also, for people to come here, if they wish to base themselves, the talent pool of people is very rich. So you obviously have high technical skills. Again, communication is easy, so they can communicate easily. and Filipinos have shown themselves to be highly trainable. So, for companies. So there's a lot of positives. And then linking it, finally, the third thing I'd say now, and that I would give credit to the administration, is obviously the signing of things like RCEP, because what we also try to say to companies is you come to the Philippines, it's an important market in its own right, but also it's a gateway to Southeast Asia.
Correct. Yeah.
And what the administration, and I would obviously continue to urge that, is continue to open up the economy, removing more barriers to that foreign direct investment, letting companies come in, because that then further reinforces it. So companies then will come in and say, okay, now not only is the Philippines important, but I can do business here, and I can then use that to get into Southeast Asia.
Yes, yeah.
And
15 countries.
Exactly.
yeah. And hopefully
On the downside, what do you think are existing in the system or in the economy now, in the Philippine economy, that needs to be improved, so
Well,
that it would be more,
I mean, I
more
probably
palatable or more attractive
highlight
to-
a few areas which I think for the administration, not just this one, but in the past is also been recognised. So number one, you need to continue to invest and improve in infrastructure. I mean,
Which infrastructure exactly?
well, I mean, look, if you look at the Philippines, I mean, there have been improvements in terms of, since I've lived here in the 20 years, obviously on roads, I mean, skyway connections, but still commuting for people can be an extremely long time, and that in itself is non-productive, right? We know that the Philippines is trying to have its first underground, so infrastructure is important, both physical infrastructure, roads. The second would be digital. The digital economy was definitely boosted during the pandemic. So, excuse me. And the Philippines needs to further enhance that in terms of connectivity, internet connections. Then I would say the continue to open up the economy. Remove these barriers. Sorry, I'm also. Etc. And then the third one I'd say is is the ease of doing business. Reducing, red tape, bureaucracy.
Still exists, huh?
Oh yeah, making it easier to do business.
Have you been around the country?
Look, I used to, as you know, I used to run Philip Morris for about 10 years, worked for them for 27. And during that time, I traveled extensively. I went to the north, to all the areas in the north, to Digigaraw, of course, to Iloco's. I went to the south, to Visayas. I went to Mindanao. So I traveled extensively with them.
Okay. So you think that the rural areas or areas outside of Metro Manila are could be investment havens as well? I mean, not
Well,
because
definitely.
the concentration is Metro Manila.
Yeah, I mean, look,
but
that
how
is
much can
actually a
Metro Manila
challenge.
be?
It's also a challenge, and a lot of companies have recognised, a lot of administration. So, you're from Iloilo. Iloilo has quite a robust business outsourcing sector, and it
also,
has developed.
Western Visayas.
And yes, the opportunities, and obviously that's a desire to move businesses or concentrations. It will be a challenge. I don't want to underestimate that, because if you look at companies coming in and they wish to start doing a business, then clearly they're going to look at Metro Manila first.
Yes.
Because they say to themselves, here's a population concentration, here's the disposable income, let me focus on that. The next area they probably go is either Cebu or Davao. So yes, there is a need, there are opportunities, but it will be a challenge.
Over a long-term period.
I agree.
Longer-term period. Yeah.
infrastructure would be key.
Correct.
Yes.
I mean, the infrastructure is improving, but there's a lot.
Outside of Manila, I mean.
Well, it's also about connectivity. It's if you link it to another area, which I think is an opportunity for the Philippines, is tourism. I mean, tourism
Yes,
is.
tourism.
I mean, I may be wrong, but the last time I checked, obviously the Philippines gets far less tourists than, say, Thailand.
Yes.
But the Philippines has obviously great natural beauty.
Potential is there,
But you know, and it's growing. If you've seen, obviously, since the travel restrictions have come off, the amount of visitors from the UK, or just not just from the UK, but in general, have increased, you know, substantially. And there is great opportunities in the Philippines for tourism. Great opportunities.
Yes, yeah. What does Thailand have that we don't have? And even for that matter, Bali.
Well, like Thailand and Bali are both great countries, right? But they've organised themselves.
They've organized themselves. Yeah, the
That's what
number
we
of
lack.
planes that land in Bali airport. My goodness. I mean,
No, it's true, but
it's
no, look, it's starting, and it's good to see. You know, the travel restrictions have lifted here. You see the people coming in. You see business travellers coming back, and that's why you see the activity in the hotels, in the restaurant sector, and that will only continue.
Seize the day.
Exactly, seize the day.
Hey, I live in Metro Manila. I work here. But every time I go to Iloilo or Bacolod or the Western Visayas, I'm constantly surprised. There's always, you know, better roads. Boy, the road system in
In
Iloilo is
Iloilo.
fantastic. Panay Province. From Iloilo City to Boracay. Fantastic roads.
How they are.
You know, that kind of thing. And, well, it will take time though.
Yeah.
Communication, digitalization. A foreign company would want to be, you know, instant or fast, speedy communications.
Yeah, so that's got to be overcome.
But the number of banks that are in Iloilo, amazing, man.
Look, I think
Amazing.
and in all of this, we also have to be very cognizant. I mean, we do generally commend the efforts that have been made to open up the economy. It started obviously with, you know, Duterte administration passing 3 key bills. It's continued here. And all we'd urge the governments to do is to keep that momentum moving, because although the Philippines is also opening up and developing, you're also competing with others.
Yes,
And that's
absolutely, yeah.
that's got to be the key.
Yes. How can we compete with even Vietnam?
We now have RCEP, we have ASEAN. So
Correct.
That's
Yes.
all towards an open economy.
I mean, Vietnam was devastated. But look at Vietnam now. They're the number one producer, number one in terms of coffee, for instance.
Yeah.
Nobody can beat Vietnam. So and we had a coffee industry here already going on long before.
Ahead
well,
of Vietnam.
Yeah, I think the way to approach this is always to focus on what advantages the Philippines has and really focus on that and develop it. And I think we've got great opportunity. I mean, RCEP will be a potential opportunity, has been noted by Secretary Pascual. And, you know, to bring it back obviously to our key feature today is the festival. I think it just highlights the interest level. I mean, the fact, and you know, as I said, all credit to the embassy for initiating it. For us, we've been the ones managing it, and the British Council for its efforts on the culture side. It just reinforces that the UK sees the Philippines as a very, you know, important country, a very important place, and that the ties are close and getting closer.
Would you see the great British festival being brought outside of Metro Manila? Is it like
Yeah, we did.
metropolises like Cebu, for instance?
I
The
think
key cities.
I think it could. I must be honest. It's. I don't want to overrun myself. I'll be honest with you. It's a bit like
Are you organizing it?
yes, with the embassy. So what happened is the embassy initiated it, asked the chamber to manage it, which we've done, and that's quite challenging. And I give all credit to
Even in Metro Manila?
well, you know, because we had a very short time span. And you've got to get companies, and companies have to commit time and resources. I've got to give credit to, we have people in the chamber, we have Keena, I think Lynn might be nearby. We've got Jessica, who's one of our interns, we have Marinelle, we have a lot of people, we have all our, a shout out to all our interns who've been supporting us on this. But it takes quite a lot of effort, so I don't want to say, it would be a very good idea to move it to other cities, but I don't want to underestimate the challenges. And the final thing I'd say is we'd rather do something which is going to work very well than trying something, because the level of complexity when you go to another, you have to have obviously contacts there. You have to make sure you have people there, and I think it can be done. I mean, we did do a trade mission to Iloilo in the past. We did a trade mission to Davao. So the answer is yes, it can be done, but we need to be able to plan a lot more in advance.
How did it fare? I mean, trade missions outside of.
I think it went
Davao.
well. I mean, particularly because you know, you tend to find obviously companies or businesses outside Metro Manila are actually more receptive because they don't get the same. Obviously, in Metro Manila, you have a lot of conferences, you have a lot of meetings, whereas people, I mean, there are obviously a high number of visitors to Iloilo, Cebu, Davao, but less so than in Metro Manila. So, of course, they tend to be much more receptive and engaging. So, yeah, they worked well.
You imagine that the engagement would be more on agriculture.
Well, it varies. It was agriculture. They also had obviously the business outsourcing. There was discussions on real estate. So no, it was it was very interesting, and there was a lot of interest. But with these things, you've got to keep up the momentum. It's you know, it's like everything. I mean, I'll make a comment. It's like the Public Service Act, if I use it as an example. It's a great law, and congratulations to everybody's efforts to get it passed. Now, also congratulations to NEDA for its help get it through. But you've still got to go back and promote it to companies and look at the opportunities. So it's not you pass a law and people would necessarily
And then
come.
you sit back.
You pass the
can't do
law
that,
and then you promote it. You then keep on working at it.
And then the president has to go abroad again and have another.
Well, hopefully. I mean, I think
have
he.
another-
I mean, we're hoping, obviously, President Marcos will visit the UK in his official capacity.
He hasn't been to the UK.
There'll
no?
be in,
Well, he's been to the UK obviously before many
sorry.
times. He's been before. He studied there,
He studied there.
but he hasn't been yet on this trip. On this his
Yes.
administration.
but are there indications that
Well, that's not. That would be obviously government to government. I would say sort of two things. One, Secretary Jokno went to the UK. He went after Davos and Frankfurt.
I understand it was quite successful.
Very successful. And then, I mean, my understanding, based on what I heard, is that I'm thinking that President Marcos will be invited to the coronation of King Charles, which is going to take place in May.
in May.
But then along with a lot of world leaders, so obviously it depends on the availability. But I suspect, I can't confirm that 100%, but I imagine he would be invited.
Hopefully.
But that's really mostly ceremonial, I guess.
Well, anyway, obviously it's timing and everything else, but yes, the visit of
May
Secretary
would be
Jokno went very well, but yes, we would be delighted to see President Marcos and others in the UK on an official visit. But as I said, that's government to government, but we as the Chamber will be delighted to see it.
The new ambassador to the Court of St. James will have a lot of work to do. we just appointed somebody,
Ambassador Loxin, right?
Ambassador Luxine, very competent.
Yes.
Very
Wish him
eager.
all the well. I'm sure he'll do very well indeed.
I'll see him in September.
I understand that the ambassador will also be visiting the Tribune.
Oh, okay, yeah, Law Beaufils. I think actually, I'm not sure she's going to. I think they're going to try and do it to.
Not today.
No, not today, unfortunately.
On Friday.
Friday, but I think it's by Zoom.
She's coming on
actually.
Friday.
By Zoom.
So we're leaving the floor to you to invite
Oh, great.
our viewers to the.
Well, let me
great
look
meeting.
straight to the camera. I hope I'm in the camera's eyes.
you are.
Let me say, so first of all, thank you again to the Daily Tribune for this interview, and to obviously my very good friends now. And let me warmly invite everybody who's watching today to attend the Great British Festival, taking place on the 25th and 26th of March. That's Saturday and Sunday in Bonifacio Global City, in the C1 and the amphitheatre areas. It starts at 10 o'clock a.m. and will finish at 10 p.m. in the evening. Everybody's welcome. great opportunity to see British brands, great companies, sample British cuisine, and also see our culture and experience it. We all look forward to seeing you there, and again, many thanks to the Daily Tribune, and we hope to see you both there as well.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
We will. Definitely. I'll be there Sunday. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mr.
Thank
Nelson,
you so much.
for your
My
time.
pleasure.
All the best to the
Always
event.
again.
We wish you luck in the
That
festival.
I need. It's fingers
luck
crossed
in the
it'll be
festival.
okay. So
Next
can I
time-
shake, as we always say in the UK, always shake hands, right? Thank you very much. Thank you very much,
See you
viewers.
again. Maybe see you next month.
I look forward to it.
You should have a 1 year. You should take more time in planning this festival.
Yeah, well, to be fair, normally.
Next time we'll have Adele
It's okay now?
and Coldplay.
Oh, that would be. That would
Who's
need
your
a
favorite
bigger
obsessed?
budget.
Who's your favorite band?
Obsessed with.
I like Adele.
I like
Oh
Adele.
yeah.
Adele. Are we okay, sir, to finish?